Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Modern Warfare 3 In-Depth. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about silencers. We're going to be talking about the way silencers affect your weapon's damage, the way they affect the weapon's range. We're also going to be talking about the range efficiency. We're going to be talking about meters, yards, inches, and ranges in Modern Warfare 3, and a handful of other things that the silencers do, like muzzle flash and noise reduction and radar and some of those sort of things. Also going to talk about recoil and some of the myths associated with silencers in this game. The gameplay that you're watching is me using an MK14 with silencer and red dot sight, and yes, I do manage to pull a MOAB this game. I'm very happy. It's my third MOAB ever. The only other ones I got two MOABs in one game with the MK46, which you saw in the MK46 in-depth episode. And the gameplay here I wasn't camping. I would say I was patrolling. I had a certain area kind of on lockdown that I was very comfortable with, and I just kind of locked that area down. Didn't really camp, didn't have to do Dark Corner McDougal, and still managed to pull a MOAB. Now let's get to testing some things out. And now before you trolls get to trolling, I am perfectly aware that Modern Warfare 3 calls this a suppressor. In real life, it's called a suppressor. You can't actually silence a weapon in this manner, or it's very hard, and not a lot of weapons work that way. But it's very common to just call them silencers. 99% of the people I talk to on Xbox call them silencers, and when people are searching for this episode, they're going to type in silencer and not suppressor. One of the first things that you'll notice about using a suppressor on your weapons is that it will either reduce or completely remove the muzzle flash from your weapon, and I get a lot of messages in my inbox asking what muzzle flash is. That's the bright light or the flash at the end of your barrel when you're shooting your gun. And to help illustrate this, to help get a big visual picture and maybe some sort of qualitative data, I took screenshots of the PP90, the ACR, the USP, and the LSW with no attachments and having their raw muzzle flash pop up, and then with a suppressor on there so that you can see just how much the suppressor reduces the muzzle flash. It is from this reduction in muzzle flash that most people mistakenly assume that silencers either increase or decrease accuracy. What they're actually doing is making your sights clearer so that you can see the targets better, and thus it's way easier to correct your aim and hit people. So in a lot of my in-depth videos I say, yeah, the iron sights are usable, but I recommend a silencer to reduce the muzzle flash. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The next thing you guys are going to be interested in knowing is how much sound the suppressor actually removes from the perspective of the enemy. And to test this, I got two people from Twitter, Pass the Pie and I Am Scrotus, to stand back to back like this, and I told them to shoot their unsuppressed and then suppressed guns like this. We did this about 15 times, and I figured that would be enough to get a very good average. I'm not going to show you any more of the tests because they were exceptionally boring, but I ran all the numbers together, I calculated the decibels here in Sony Vegas, and I almost screwed up and just did like a percentage reduction when it occurred to me, oh wait, decibels and perceived loudness are not perfectly linear. My physics education from engineering are coming back to me, and my power levels and my voltages and all these sort of things that I learned. And thankfully I remembered that they're not linear, they're actually logarithmic, and since I didn't really feel like relearning all my logarithm tables, I got on Google and found a nice little calculator that calculated the relative loudness of two different sources, did some comparing, compared a lot of guns, and found that on average, now it varies from gun to gun, that a suppressor is going to reduce your overall level of sound from close range to far range by about 33%. So you're going to get about a 33% reduction in overall loudness when using a suppressor. This might make a big difference for people using normal speakers, but for headset users, they're probably going to hear you no problem. So I wouldn't really expect there to be too great of a benefit from using a suppressor if you're going for it from a pure noise reduction standpoint. But let's be honest here, the noise reduction and the muzzle flash are secondary benefits. The main reason that you use a silencer in Modern Warfare 3, or the main reason that anybody uses a silencer in any Call of Duty game ever, is to stay off the radar. And that's because in Call of Duty games, for those rare few of you that don't know, when you shoot your gun that doesn't have a silencer, it makes a noise, your radar picks it up, and it paints you as a little red dot on that radar. So if you shoot any gun that doesn't have a silencer, you show up on the enemy's radar and they know exactly where you are. A lot of people still choose to go without them, and they'll shoot and move and shoot and move and just kind of avoid the radar. If you have a silencer on your weapon, no matter how many times you shoot, you will not show up on that radar. You're still susceptible to UAVs and things like that, but your bullets will not land you on the radar. This gives you a greater degree of freedom, a greater range of movement, and you can be a much sneakier player. You don't have to worry about people coming and hunting you down as soon as you shoot, because not everybody knows where you are. Only the person that you shot is going to know where you are. Now, if you're playing against an MLG team or a really organized team, this isn't going to help you a bit because they're going to be communicating, but if you're going pub stomping, silencers are amazingly useful. Now let's move on to the question of the day, and I'll answer the most two common questions that I get about silencers. And the first one is, do silencers affect wall penetration or wall banging? And they do not. Silencers will not affect your wall penetration factors in any way. The next question, and the bigger and more important, is, how do silencers affect my range, and do silencers reduce the damage on my weapon? These silencers do not reduce your weapon's damage. They do not reduce its maximum or minimum damage. A lot of players will be like, yeah, silencer takes 10% off your weapon's damage, or silencer makes your guns do like 30% less damage. Man, that's total bullshit. Don't listen to these people. Silencers do not affect the weapon's minimum and maximum damages. Those are constant and you can't change them, with the exception of sniper rifles. Sniper rifles are a little different. They're special. They're out in their own category out there in Call of Duty land, but every other weapon is left unaffected, but it does greatly affect your weapon's range. And this is where things get a little bit complicated, because it affects your range by reducing it by 25%. The crazy thing about this 25% is it's not necessarily a simple scalar factor. It would follow logically that a 25% reduction means that you take the point at which your damage starts to drop and take that back 25%, and your end point and take that back 25%, and voila, you're done. You've moved it back a couple of meters. What it actually does is reduces 25%, but the base of this reduction is your maximum weapon damage drop range. Like that very end of the damage drop is where it's going to base it at here. And I'll use the example of the MK14, which I have right now, and the in-game units are inches for the most part, so it has a range of 1,000 inches. It'll do its maximum damage, and then it starts dropping off after 1,000, and it will end dropping off after 2,000 inches. So what it's going to do is take, okay, this gun ends in 2,000 inches, so we're going to take that 2,000, and we're going to multiply that by 0.25, and oh, okay, 500 inches is what we're taking off. So our damage drop is now going to start at 500 inches, and it's going to end at 1,500 inches. Now, that is a huge, huge reduction. It's cutting your initial damage drop in half for weapons like the MK14. However, other weapons, not necessarily so much, because their ranges are much tighter together. Something like the FAD has a range of 800 to 1,000. So in this case, if it's 1,000, let's say 1,000 times 0.25, oh, that's 250, and 800 minus 250, I'm actually doing this live here on my TI-83 Plus calculator, is 550, so you didn't get quite as huge a reduction on the weapon like the FAD, and it's individual for each one of these, and my recommendation is that you go back and watch all of my in-depth videos, and the ones that have really crazy huge ranges, like big gaps in that range, that's the ones that's going to affect the most of all. Before moving on to the last topic today, which is range with a silencer, I need to discuss something with you in a more personal manner. We're swapping over to live commentary now via webcam. I would like to ask you guys for a favor. I don't ask for a whole lot on this channel. I don't exactly make demands or tell you to do things. I do leave links. I was like, hey, would you like to check out this in-depth video on a different channel? Would you like to look at my friends' videos? Blah, blah, blah. But I don't really ask for too much of anything. And right now I am honestly just asking you guys to do me a favor. For all the in-depth videos that you've seen, for all of the 3 or 4 a.m. edits, which well, it's only 2 a.m. right now. The night is yet young. I end up making most of the in-depth videos really, really late at night because of school and homework and doing things for my wife and making sure my dog's taken care of and little things like that, but mostly the school. But anyway, I would like for you guys to do me a favor. I would like for you to click that link in the description and go to Gamma Labs' Facebook page. It's going to be facebook.com/GammaLabs, and like that Facebook page and write in the text box, Drifter sent me, Drifter is awesome, Drifter is the best gamer ever. Just drop my name in there and indicate that I have sent you there. That's because Gamma Labs is interested in sponsoring me. They're like kind of sort of interested, but not really on the whole Drifter boat yet. And I have to prove to them that I'm worth something, that I can drive traffic to their page, that I am a good brand ambassador or something like that. And the currency for this proof is Facebook likes. It's like those little messages you get on your Facebook with a really sad picture of a baby, and it says, the baby can't afford an operation, but if you could only get 100 Facebook likes in the next 3 hours, the doctor said he'd do it. Like the doctor's like, 100 Facebook likes. My God, that's worth $100,000. We'll do that operation right now. It's kind of like that at Gamma Labs right now. They're basically judging me by how many of you guys will go and like that Facebook page. So I would greatly appreciate it if you would do that, because if enough of you do that, they will choose to sponsor me as a Gamma Gamer.
And I can't say exactly what all that entails, but I can tell you that would literally change my life and my situation right now. I can tell you about it afterwards, but not before. That's just kind of how this game works, and I'd greatly appreciate it if you do that. Now let's get back to dropping this MOAB.
Back to Call of Duty land, and it's time to call in that MOAB. Ah, there she comes. That's my third MOAB, the only other two I got in the same game, so it feels like my second one, and I'm pretty happy and proud of myself right now, because, like, yeah, I got a MOAB, alright. Now, let's talk about the range proficiency. The range proficiency essentially does the opposite of a silencer and adds 25% using this same method with that N number being your 25% add range, and one of the neat things about that, I don't know how this works or why it works or why they coded this into the game, but if you use the range proficiency and a silencer, they almost cancel each other out, but not quite. The silencer still wins out by about 6%, so if you use both of them combined, you're going to get a minus 6% reduction in range, but I just think of that as being almost the same anyway. I hope that you enjoyed the gameplay, the testing, the commentary, and the Gamma Labs, and the webcam, and all this kind of stuff. And there's my really MLG final kill cam. Had a really good kill-death ratio in this game and picked up a lot of tags. Drifter out.